So we are nearly finished with our application. So the last thing we need to do is change this static pagination and set up the will paginate gem to actually create some pagination. So let's go to rubygems.org and search for the will_paginate gem. This is a very popular gem. It's got about 8 million downloads. So I'm going to grab the latest, go to the gem file, and paste that under the AWS SDK. And then let's go to the documentation. Well, first thing, we need to go to do a bundle install in the terminal, and then restart our server. All right, let's go back to the documentation. So what we need to do is add the .paginate method inside of our controller. So let's go and open up the podcast controller, and on the index method, let's start here. We'll do .paginate. We'll do page params of page. And then we can set a per page attribute, per page, and we'll say 5 per page. So if I go to Explore, obviously nothing has happened just yet, but if I change this to 1 per page and refresh, you can see it shows only 1 per page. But the thing is, obviously no buttons have shown up. So what we need to do to take care of that is go to the podcast index page. Then right outside of our UL, let's add the will paginate call on the app podcasts. So if I just do that, refresh, this is floating up because we need to add a class of clearfix CF on the UL. There we go. Now it stays at the bottom. But as you can see, if we click to and from, the pagination is working. And of course it's styled because we did that during the front end process. We can tweak how this is set up though. For example, we can change the labels. So I can do comma, do previous underscore label, and let's just say blah for now. Refresh. Oh, I misspelled that, previous label. All right, so now it says blah. If you go back, obviously we don't want to say blah. Let's say previous, and let's add a next underscore label of next. So basically what we're doing is just getting rid of those arrows because they're a bit unnecessary. So the per page, let's go back to the podcast. We could probably do 12 per page. And then on the find episode call, let's add this here as well. Let's make this only 5. So now if we go, let's refresh, it shows all the podcasts up to 12 per page. Now if I click on here, this obviously is not set up yet. If I change this to 1, it shows only 1 podcast, but this is still the static. So I'm going to copy this and go into the podcast show page. Let's get rid of the static pagination and do the will paginate call and change this from at podcast to episodes. Go back, refresh. Now we have working pagination for the episodes page. Let's keep that at 5 for now though. So obviously we don't have 5, so the pagination does not show up, which is perfect. And then let's take care of it here as well. So I'm not sure we really need pagination. Maybe it'd be better to add, just do like 5 episodes for the podcast page. or maybe even 3. So maybe let's do a dot limit of 3 episodes. So if I go back and refresh, those 3 episodes still are showing. So let's remove the pagination from the episode show page. Let's refresh that. And let's test it out and create a few more episodes. Another episode. Choose a thumbnail. And an MP3. Create episode. So there's more than 3 episodes. Let's go back to the episodes controller. Let's bump this up to 5. So it seems like what is happening is it's doing it's limiting it to 5 and then rejecting, the 5th one because it is the same ID. So if we only want 5 per page, we should do 6. And let's add another episode. So it shows 4. Let's add a few more. Number 5. Let's add this one and same MP3. Create an episode. So now we have 5 showing. Let's create another one and make sure only 5 show. One last one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah. So if I say 5, it should be 4 episodes. Yeah, okay. So we're limiting it to 5, and then it's rejecting the latest one because that is the current episode. So let's just do 5 per page. So I'm going to change this to 6. All right, that seems good. So the pagination is working on here on the Explore page, and it is not set up on the dashboard yet. So let's change that. So let's go to the podcast controller. Well, it's set up on the Find Episodes. So what we need to do is go to the podcasts. We still have the static pagination. Let's copy that from the show page and paste that in the bottom. Now let's refresh. All right, and now that's working correctly. Beautiful. So now we have pagination set up in our Rails app. So there's a few last things I want to do before we are finished. I know for one, let's go to incognito window, sign out. This is not okay, so we need to fix that. So first off, let's do a git s. All right, git add dot git commit with the message added will paginate gem and set up pagination. So sounds good. Git S. So let's open up the application HTML file. So we should be able to do something like unless the current page question mark is the root path, show this link, and then we'll end it. So this should work because unless the current page is the root path. So let's refresh. So that hides it from this page, but what I'm worried about is, does it hide it from the dashboard? Yes, it does. What we need to do to fix that is I'm going to copy this, delete it, and I'm going to create a new file in layouts. It's going to be a partial_header.html.erb. Let's paste that in here. And let's do a render layout/header. So let's go to Explore, make sure that, so the header still shows up. So what we need to do is copy this and go to the dashboard page, and then up top, we need to render the layout. So now if we refresh, so it shows on the dashboard page, on the Explore, but it does not show on the welcome index page. So that's perfect. So let's do git s. So we'll do git add dot git s. Let's do a git commit with the message fix issue where header was showing on welcome index. If I sign in, this needs to change. So let's take care of that. Let's go to the devise sessions new. And let's also open up the devise registrations new. I'm going to copy all of this, paste it up here, get rid of the login, and let's add the closing divs. So this should be sign in banner. And let's say instead of create a podcast, we'll say, welcome back. You look beautiful today. And then we have the email and the password. And let's change, let's remove the links because those are unnecessary. And let's add a class. Let's add a class of button highlight, and button block. Refresh. Whoops, we need a comma here. There we go. So that looks good. So the sign in page is all styled. Let's commit that. Git s. Git commit -am style sign in page. All right. And one last thing that has been bugging me is, let's say I sign in test@test.com, add my password. Well, invalid password, this works. Basically, the notifications look terrible. So I want to redo those. Let's go to the application.html file. We're going to keep the if alert, etc. Except let's do a div of ID notice wrapper. So we're going to wrap it in a div with notice wrapper and the class of alert just the same. And I'm going to add this down here and then change this and this to notice. And then I'll just delete this like so. So if I right click and inspect element. It's got the notice wrapper. So let's go into our styles. Let's go into the application.css. Above the button, let's add it here. So it's notice wrapper. So let's change the style a bit. First off, let's make it a width of 100%. Let's make it a position of absolute. And then by default, the absolute position goes to the top. Let's change the color. Let's see, we want this color. I'm going to use a little app I have called Color Snapper. And what I can do is change the preferences. I can grab it as a RGB color. So I'm going to select this color, and now it copied to my clipboard. So I'm going to change the background to RGB, and I'm going to say RGBA, and then let's make it 0.85 maybe. And then I want to bring it above everything else, so I'm going to change the Z index to 999. Save that and refresh. So it's above everything else. The background's not working. Wonder why that is. There we go. I think it was just because there was a space between the RGBA and the color. So let's target the P tag inside and do a color of white, text align center, font weight. Let's make it bold because this is a notification after all. Let's do font size 1.25 rem. Let's refresh that. Awesome. It's looking good. And let's add some padding. Let's do 1.5 rem top and bottom and 0. See how that looks. Perfect. So this is what the notification looks like. But I want to go one step further, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the application HTML, and above the body I'm going to add a script tag, close the script, add a little JS. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a Set Timeout function. And add a semicolon there. So what I'll do is I'll grab the notice wrapper div, and then I'll do dot fade out, and then we'll fade out slow, and then we'll do a function. And what I'm going to do is this dot remove. And then let's go just outside of the set timeout and set the time. We'll do comma 4500, and this is in milliseconds, so this is 4.5 seconds. So let's give that a try, refresh. Let's see, uncaught reference error, this is not defined. Let's, I'm going to go to the source code and see. Oh, you know what? I think I need to wrap this in a document.ready function. Let's try that. Try again. Look at that. So after 4 seconds, it fades out. How awesome is that? So now if I do the correct password, signed in successfully. Then after 4.5 seconds, it fades out. Pretty snazzy. So now let's do git s, git commit -am, and add the message added fancy alert notifications. Now let's do git s, let's do git push, and last but not least, let's do a git push Heroku master. Okay, and let's go to Heroku and just confirm that everything is working correctly. First, I want to try to edit and see if the notifications are working. It's looking good. Beautiful. All right, and with that, I think we are finished with our application. Just take a second and think about how much you have just done. You've planned out an application. You've done the user flow, low fidelity, and mid fidelity wireframing. And then you've designed the home page, the podcast page, show page, episode, and dashboard in Photoshop. And then you've coded all of those pages in with a front-end code. And then you converted that front-end code to a real live Rails application that is live on a Heroku server. We've added paperclip for image uploading, and we stored those images as well as the MP3s on Amazon S3. So if I were you, I would feel very proud right now because you've come a long way. So at this point, I think you can consider yourself a unicorn.